Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Seasonal Tokens Podcast, where Polar interviews people so you can do more investing and less gambling.
Hello everyone, it is Polar here, the CMO of Seasonal Tokens. Today we're having a special guest. We're having Tiers from Seasonal Tokens. Welcome, Tiers.
Thank you very much, Polar. It's good to be here. Thank you for the invitation.
Yeah, it is my pleasure. I have prepared a lot of questions for you that I believe will help to our listeners to guide them in the current market situation, and also to put a strategy in front of them for the coming future. I hope that you're ready for this.
I will do my best.
Okay, so let's start with the first and standard question. Can you introduce yourself and your background with a few words?
Yeah, so my name's Tiers. That's how I'm known in the DeFi space, though my real name is Sam. Most people know that now. I've been in the DeFi space for about 4 years and full-time for about 2 years. I work in general advisory, to a degree marketing, community leadership and management. I'm basically the guy you come to when you need a team put together. And then I work in the background, primarily in consultancy now. And that's just the general overview of what I do.
Yeah, I can definitely vouch for this. Tiers is the guy that knows almost everybody in the DeFi world. He is actually the reason why I'm also part of the Seasonal Tokens. So I can vouch for this guy. He's definitely amazing. So from what I understand and from what I just heard, you are very, very deep in the crypto. So what has actually attracted you in the crypto when there are plenty of opportunities in the Web2 space too?
So crypto to me, it was initially just the ambiguity of what it represented. So I first heard about Bitcoin when I was 16, which is about 10 years ago now. And I had no idea what was going on. I was only 16, I was in college. I'd worked a few part-time jobs, but nothing serious. I was still studying. So it was just this weird foreign concept. And I was into IT anyway. That's what I studied. So I thought, okay, let's start mining some Bitcoin. And I must have mined. I think I mined. I don't know what I was doing back then. I tried to mine. That laptop's long gone. The hardware's all now lost. So who knows how much I'm worth, technically speaking, if I had that hard drive. Lost to the void now. But yeah, since that point onwards, I went into the workforce and obviously deep dived into the real world, worked full time for many, many years. And I think the longer you go on in this day and age and you keep working within this encompassing financial system, which really doesn't allow you to progress very well easily, you need to look for alternative options. And the more and more I worked, the harder I worked, and the higher up the hierarchy I got, the less money I seemed to actually be able to sustainably keep, and the more money seemed to be going out. So I just thought, this isn't sustainable long term. I'm going to wind up trapped in a financial system I can't get out of with a mortgage around my neck, and I'm never going to break free from this. So I just started to deep dive into these different options, and that's when I'd say I really looked into Bitcoin. Before that, it was all just fluff. It was me just wondering what it is here and there. But yeah, when I actually deep dived into it, I realized, hang on, this isn't just some random ambiguous side concept that's been created by some random dude. This is actually revolutionary technology, and this is literally this is the ground floor level of it. So we need to get into it. And that was my mindset, at least.
Yeah, a lot of people are saying and comparing it with the internet. So I definitely think that this is going to change our whole life, and it has already started. But one thing that I wasn't able to figure out from your answer is when actually approximately you have started in crypto.
So when I actually started, I would have, how old was I then? I used to work on cruise ships, and before I went up my first and only real contract at sea, I think I've been working full-time in a phone shop. I'd worked my way up to being a manager. And like I said, I'd gone from sales to assistant manager to manager in a year, flew up through the ranks, but I wasn't making any money. And I thought, the money I've got in the bank now is, it's just, for my age, it's not a bad amount. What can I do with it? I really want to start investing. So I must have been about 20 odd. I thought, I'm going to buy myself a Bitcoin. Bought myself a Bitcoin and locked it in because then I went out to sea. And let me tell you, on cruise ships, you do not make any money. Even the upper echelons don't really make any money. I would consider it to be complete and utter slave labor. I think I was making £600 a month for doing 14 hours a day with basically no days off. It was not anything comparable to real money at all. But my Bitcoin investment, one day I looked at it and it had done it 2x'd. Like, I only had one Bitcoin back then. It was only worth, I think, $3,000. No, that was it. I bought in at $3,000, one Bitcoin. And then when I looked it on the ships, it was suddenly worth $4,500. And I'd been working my ass off pennies, and suddenly my portfolio had, gone up by $1,500, which to me was a massive deal. And that was when the cogs in my head started to turn. I thought, hang on a minute, this is real. This isn't just some random nonsense. This is actually very real, and I can make a living off this if I just learn about it. So yeah, I'd say when I was about 20 odds when I first jumped in.
Wow, like working for nothing, it's something that a lot of people are struggling with at the moment. I'm sure that a lot of people that are listening to the podcast will somehow feel your pain because they have gone through this or are still in this. And I hope and pray that almost all of them, or the best would be if all of them will be able to finish this slavery, because in crypto I also believe that there are a lot opportunities, a lot of the future jobs are there and will be built there. So like it's good to start thinking in this direction if you don't like your work or if you're just a slave in your work. But yeah,
which I definitely was. I was definitely a slave, and being free from it now and being able to work for myself in a few short years of just really grinding and learning. If I can do it, anybody can do it. Honestly, it's still very early. The market's in a position now where I think we're basically at a really good level to get back in. Now is a good time to start reevaluating what you're doing with your career and what you can do in the cyberspace and the crypto space, because the opportunities are now becoming endless. There's so much to do here, and there's so much money to be made here. It's financial freedom. That's what you can earn from this at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. Which brings me to the next question, which somehow you have answered. But are you currently actively investing in crypto?
I was buying more Bitcoin as it went down from 69 to obviously where we're at now. I've been DCAing in a little bit here and there. I wouldn't say I'm now actively investing. I'm more so just evaluating different positions I'm in and sort of checking where we're going to be, because I do think we're going to see a further decrease in the market. I don't think we're done yet. I think we're going to drop down to maybe 14k, and I don't think it'll be an easy drop. I think it'll be quite sudden, and then that's when we're going to start seeing some real reversals coming into place. And so I'm DCAing in these levels now, just for Bitcoin solely for now, in terms of long-term investments. And obviously we're going to talk about seasonal tokens later, but I won't even go too much into seasonal tokens until we get there. But that where we stand right now is an amazing time to start looking into seasonal tokens for investments as well. So yeah, I'd say I am actively somewhat investing, but I'm not going completely in until I see a few lower levels.
I think that all of us are in the same position. Like, we're searching and waiting for the best position to jump again in this. And just for qualification, like by saying DCAing, you're saying like dollar cost average, right? Yeah,
exactly. So rather than just YOLOing it all in at once and hoping for the best, it's just spreading out your buys. Routinely, what you can do in general is say you've got $500 excess a month you can spend. Then every month, regardless of the price of the asset, you just buy in the same amount of dollars or pounds or whatever, and obviously you're going to get a differing amount of the quantity of the asset. But on a long term, you're going to get more for your money, because no one can really time the market. You need to be, even the best in the business can't time the market in crypto. It's too volatile already. So if you're looking for a safer bet and you haven't got a load of money to splurge in at once, it is just generally best to DCA, dollar cost average, into the asset you want, which is what I'm doing.
Yeah, I think that especially if you are starting right now, this is the best long-term strategy to follow. And when and if, of course, crypto becomes your full-time job, maybe you can use the other strategies that exist. But so far, I have also seen that dollar cost averaging is one of the safest bets for sure. So It's great that you are investing in crypto. I'm also doing it, but why do you think people actually should invest in crypto than in anything else?
I don't necessarily think you should do it more than anything else in general. I do think you're going to get a lot more for your money long term if you get into the right cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin or others. I do also advise precious metals right now. I mean, we're about to see a massive global recession. The markets are bearish. The inflation rates are going to get a lot worse. The governments are not really for us. They're against us, and they're printing so much money, and they're raising inflation through the freaking ceiling. So it's going to get pretty crazy pretty soon. Now, the best thing you can do to protect yourself is diversify. You want hardcore assets that are going to stand the test of time as a store of value. And I do think certain cryptocurrencies will stand that test. Obviously, I'm not a financial advisor. Crypto could technically go to zero tomorrow. But I do think in the last 4 years particularly, so much of the groundwork that has been needed to be implemented and built has now been built in the space. And because that's now there, and a lot of financial markets and even retailers are ready to start onboarding crypto payments, for example, like you can't. Rome wasn't built in a day. The concept of crypto is amazing, but without the facilities the services and the requirements and foundations to facilitate payments and onboarding of crypto assets to the real world, it takes time. But you've seen so much so quickly over the last few years because so many people, so many genius people I've met in the space, everyone's come into this one area, and in a lot of ways it is decentralized from government. So you are seeing so many incredible people coming into the space and just building and building and building until we get it right. And a lot of the protocols you're seeing coming out and all sorts of things are just getting so crazy and so financially freeing that I just think you cannot just sit on your dollars or your pounds and think, yeah, if I just put £1,000 away a month, long term I'm going to be rich. Long term, you're not really going to be rich. You won't even own your own house. I mean, a lot of people think you own your house when you buy it, right? Well, if you go and annoy the government, they're going to sign a piece of paper and your house is no longer even your house anymore. So you need to diversify. You need to really start looking at hardcore assets over a long period of time and start planning for the future, because the pound and the dollar, they're not going to stand the test of time. Something else will, and I do think that is crypto. But again, that's just me.
Yeah, and also me. So like you just mentioned, the current market situation is very, very bad and very bearish on all, like in everywhere. Actually, it's not only crypto, it's stock market, it's the food market, it's the fuel market, it's everywhere. Like there is a lot of fear actually. So
yeah, for sure.
What do you think is the best thing a person to do in such markets, in such bear markets?
Well, you know what they say. They say, be greedy while others are fearful. And the amount of fear we're now seeing is through the roof, right? But again, it just comes down to everybody's individual circumstances. You can't expect someone who's, is going paycheck to paycheck to be able to just splurge money they don't have in crypto on the bet that it's going to go up now. I mean, I do think in the next 6 months, we will see a big bullish reversal and then things are going to go crazy, right? But you can't guarantee that. So for me, it even comes down to what part of crypto you're looking into. So if you're just looking to accumulate a hardcore asset like Bitcoin, then DCAing, like I said earlier, dollar cost average your way in, that's probably your best bet. If you're in DeFi like I am, then I always say look for the projects and the protocols that are doing okay in the bear market and haven't been fleeced or scared away. So many projects died when the bull run ended suddenly and crashed, and the recession started to kick in. It scared a lot of people out. But there are so many projects that are still doing really well and they're still building. So look for the projects that are still building and are still doing what they said they're going to do despite the bear market. If a project hasn't been affected by the bear market and they're still going full speed ahead, then you know that long term they are likely to be a good candidate for success to a degree. But for outside of that, if you're just a regular trader, well, I should say investor looking to get in, then the best thing you can do now is learn. Teach yourself as much as you can. Learn about blockchain, learn about cryptography, learn about what Bitcoin is and what Bitcoin represents, learn about the history of where we are and how we got here, learn about the financial markets in depth, because now is the best time you can teach yourself, because the financial markets are scary and what the governments are able to do with our money, it's terrifying when you really learn the ins and outs of it. So yeah, bear markets are for learning and buying progressively. Bull markets are for enjoying the ride up and making some life-changing money.
Absolutely. I definitely agree with you. that it really depends on your situation, but if you have the money to invest and you have been like saving money for some time, now is probably a good time to start doing dollar cost averaging. But of course, like, we are not financial advisors. It is definitely your own choice. But also, if you don't have the money, like, spend as much time as possible to learn about the crypto world, or do like Tiers, spend time networking and meeting new people, creating new connections, because it's invaluable actually. Like, people say that your network is your net worth. So like, I think that the best would be to actually do all of the things that we just mentioned, but it really depends on your situation. So like, from what you have said so far, it sounds to me that you have been investing quite some time. So I suppose that you have tested different strategies, and probably some of them have worked for you, some of them have dumped you really bad. So is there an investment strategy that has given you the best results so far?
I've done every single type of trading you can imagine. I've been completely degenerate levels of, as I would say, aping into random crap coins, we'll say, for the sake of not swearing on the podcast. So crap coins, I've invested in loads of them and made crazy amounts of money and lost crazy amounts of money just as fast. I've strategically bought over a long period of time and then not sold when I should have, and just watched my money disappear, which again we'll tie into later with seasonal tokens. I've DCA'd in, so to me, what I've learned the most is, you can make a lot of money trading crap coins, and you can literally buy a random crap coin in DeFi, and 3 weeks later things can go crazy, and your $1,000 investment could technically, on paper, be worth $1 million. But they are rare and far between, and no one holds long enough to even see those gains, because people, especially now, and I do the same, if you see a 10x return on your investment within the first week, you're going to think, wow, I'm selling that. So a lot of time it is just, you need to learn which one of your coins is actually a winner, and don't sell too early, hold. But the other time, it's just a case of being aware of the market you're in, because as quickly as it can go up in DeFi, it can go down just as fast, and usually does. So for me, best advice I can give is DCA into something you believe in, like Bitcoin, and then hold. Just hold the line, look back in 5 years, and thank yourself. That's what I think.
Absolutely. Like, researching and putting the amount of time needed to decide what should be your investment strategy is probably the best advice that we can give to anybody else, because like, from what I have heard from different investors, all strategies work, but not all of the strategies will work for you. So that's why, like, everyone should make its own research and decision, and not follow blindly, no matter who is saying this. Like, you should do your research, your thinking, and your mistakes. I think that this is the best way to learn and find the best strategy and almost everything in life. This is what I believe in. Yeah.
One of my close friends in DeFi, who I've actually met in real life as well, I actually consider him like an amazing close friend now at this point. We're on the same sort of wavelength, and he said to me something very smart the other day. He said, because he's been in the space as long as me, if not longer, he said, for the next cycle, right, what you really want to do, after everything's said and done and we've gone through all this craziness, you want to start investing in real people, not like some random crappy influencer on YouTube. People like CZ, CEO of Binance, Richard Hart, releasing Pulse Chain. People who are incredibly smart and have gone through all these cycles longer than we have, and they know what they're talking about, and they're still building, and they're in very, very influential positions of power and influence, but they're not. I know there's a lot of FUD around Binance right now and CZ, but in general, invest in smart people like that who aren't here to make a quick buck on you. They're here for the long term to build something sustainable, and I think you will go far.
Yeah, I haven't heard this before, so it's something.
I never thought about it either. No, when he told me this, I thought, hang on, you are spot on. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, BNB. Look at BNB. It started off as just a native exchange token. You could get some trading fees less. If you held BNB, less trading fees. Perfect. Then DeFi started out of nowhere, and then they made, okay, let's make Binance Smart Chain. We'll go into decentralized finance, and BNB flew up to $690 from like, I think it launched at like $1 ages ago, you know. So, and he's still building, like there's no going back. CZ will keep building BNB for now. So for me, when the markets start looking good again, I think BNB will be a safe bet. Will it? Who knows? But I would rather bet on him and bet on his projects and what he's building than some random person on YouTube who's just shilling a crap coin that's probably going to 5x and then dump and take all my money away from me. Do you know what I mean? It's more of like a long-term goal.
Yeah, invest in teams than in projects, like something like that.
Yeah, invest in the people who know what they're talking about. Invest in them rather than the project, and you will just go full circle.
Absolutely agree with you on this one. Like we have mentioned a few times the project that we are both part in, and we both believe that gives a great opportunity, especially right now in the bear market, and especially right now when it is just starting out and it is building almost all the time. So what has actually attracted you to become part of Seasonal Tokens team? Because as far as I know, you are the first team member of the project.
Yeah, so I am the first, as far as I know, I'm the first team member. You know, initially what attracted me to Seasonal Tokens was actually Rowan himself, you know, the lead developer and founder of Rowan. He's the one who made this genius project. I was introduced to him by his brother because he needed some help just getting off the ground and getting to know people in the space and starting to build a community. That's how I was introduced to it. And I would say we can look at every amazing aspect of Seasonal Tokens, and I agree with all of them. But having Rowan as the top dog, the man who's made it all, and just listening to him talk about it, that was what actually attracted me to it. And that actually ties back nicely to what I just said about investing in people. Because if you find someone incredibly smart who knows what they're talking about and are willing to put the time, money, dedication into it for something they're going to use themselves, yeah, that's a much safer bet than investing in some random crap. So, like I say, I was attracted because of him, and I've stuck around this long now because I completely agree with the vision. But again, because he's in charge, and he's honestly one of the smartest people I've ever met in my entire life. So.
Yeah, I cannot agree more with you about that. Like Ron is a genius, no doubts about it. And if you haven't listened my podcast with Ron, check the first episode where we are talking about Seasonal Tokens and why it has been created, what's the idea behind it, what are the principles behind it. And I think that you'll find by yourself that this guy is definitely one of the geniuses in crypto. And
easily.
I believe that a lot of people like him are jumping in crypto, which is amazing. And we can see a lot of great projects coming thanks to guys like him. So it's amazing to watch a project like this to evolve. So like you mentioned also a few times that now is a good time to invest in Seasonal Tokens. Of course, everybody should do their own research, but why or what are the reasons that make you think that people should invest in Seasonal Tokens?
Well, from a principal core standpoint, Seasonal Tokens, they are a commodity, like gold. You have to physically, well, obviously not physically doing it, but you mine each token. So there's 4 tokens. I know you've gone over it a million times, but spring, summer, autumn, and winter, and each are actually mined by miners. So there's actually a proof and concept of work there. People are actually paying their energy costs to mine the product, which gives it an inherent value. And over time, there's going to be halvenings, just like Bitcoin, for each and every single token, which means the rate of production goes down by half. And supply and demand obviously equates. So demand starts to go up and supply starts to drop, which increases the price, and so on and so forth. But the long-term vision of Seasonal Tokens is that if you know what you're doing, you can effectively trade one token for another token of the same type. So spring for winter, for example, following the trend. And if you do it properly, you're going to get more tokens back every single time if you follow the pattern, which means long-term, since every single token is going to be reduced by half in terms of production consistently, the price will acknowledge that, the markets will reciprocate that, the prices will go up, and long term, if you're continually trading from one token to another, gaining more and more quantity, you can't lose in that aspect. You're always going to gain more tokens, which means when you do eventually decide to sell or reduce your risk tolerances, you're going to be taking out profit. And that is just a genius concept to me. It kind of blows your mind. when you actually look into the deep dive aspects of it, it is mind-blowing levels of ingenuity.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we have been talking with Ruan about this in the previous episode, that this is actually the dream of every investor, to know when to invest and when to
exactly
to jump out of something. So it's brilliant, and like implementing just 4 tokens instead of many projects is also genius, because you have to research one project, not many, in order to decide if this is a good investment or not. So as we know, you have been with seasonal tokens since the beginning of the project, or almost from the beginning of the project. So what lessons about crypto as a whole, or crypto investing, you have learned as part of the seasonal tokens team that you believe can be beneficial for our listeners?
What, specifically to seasonal tokens, or like crypto as a whole?
As a whole, and crypto investing too.
Well, again, to me, I was never a big trader. I was always just an investor for the long term, and I got sucked into the DeFi crap coin trading, where I'd try and make 100x or nothing. Got stuck in that mentality, and that mentality does work for some people, and you can run away like a bandit with $1 million from $1,000 and laugh about it, but you'll probably lose it all later on, as I've quickly learned. So with seasonal tokens, it was the lessons I've learned. It taught me a lot about crypto mining, because I was lost on mining. Like I said, I mined Bitcoin for about 2 weeks when I was 16, didn't know what I was doing, probably wasn't even doing it properly, and that was the end of it. But actually looking into the systems and the technology behind mining, that was mind-blowing to me. I think it was about a year ago I met Rowan and started looking into this. So that the way that works, it does make complete sense in my brain now, and it was a very, very difficult process for me to understand. When it sinks in, it's like bang, everything suddenly makes sense about crypto. So yeah, from the mining aspect, I've learned all about that, and then just the trading aspect, and obviously trading from one to the other and consistently gaining more tokens. That was also very incredulous to me, because, as I said, with me, it was always, I buy a specific amount of one asset, I wait till the price goes up, I sell it. That's the very native, traditional looking, out view. You do it in stocks, you do it in any form of assets normally. This time, yeah, you can do that long term, you can hold it if you want to, but you can, along the way, you can trade for more and more and more in the same ecosystem over and over again, all following the same principal rules, and then you will win. Again, earth-shattering revelations in your brain. So, lessons after lessons after lessons as part of seasonal.
Yeah, seasonal tokens definitely can teach us a lot of things about mining, farming also, I think, and of course investing. But people should start to see by themselves, and now we have just launched on Polygon, so they can do it without paying a lot of the gas fees that are currently that we are currently having on Ethereum. But we hope that with the merge, this will be changed. But who knows if this will happen or when it will happen. So for now, I think that making some tests on Polygon can give some clear answers to people if what we are saying right now about seasonal tokens is true, or we are just trying to mislead people. But
if you look into the white paper and I actually read it through, I think it might take a few reads to get through if you're not into the space normally, but when it sinks in and it clicks, you're like, oh, that makes complete sense. And then once you see that foundational principle in front of you and it makes sense, it's very clear as day. It's clear as day that this is a genuine and, frankly, in my opinion, genius idea. It just needs time. I mean, when it launched, the whole reason Rowan built seasonal tokens is that every 4 years you watch Bitcoin effectively go to new all-time highs, and then you have to watch as it goes all the way back down again. And as a holder and investor, you have to consistently watch as your net worth decreases in front of your eyes, and it goes up again, then decreases and goes up again. Seasonal tokens, in a sense, subverts that entirely. And once you understand how that works and it sinks in, it's like, oh, that makes complete and utter sense. And now we understand why. And I think where we're at right now in the markets, and this goes back to me saying earlier about researching teams that are building despite the bear market, this is the perfect time to learn about this now, because this is so relevant that in a few years' time, you're going to look back and think, if you don't jump in now, for example, you look back and think, now I completely understand where they were coming from with this angle, because watch as Bitcoin flies again and decreases again and rises again. We subvert that entirely. And it's just such a crazy concept. Ingenious concept.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with you on this one. So, like we have been talking about crypto and why we both believe in crypto, but maybe you can say with a few words or sentences like what makes you think that the future of crypto is bright?
I think if you just take a step back and just look at the state of the world right now, I mean, a lot of people might not think or have ever thought that it won't affect them the way the markets are now, or how, say for example, you've never traded any asset in your life, you've just gone to work full time, you've made it, you've got a few, you've got a 401k or you're saving up in the background, and you've never thought it was going to affect you. Well, the inflation rates, let's not even talk about assets, let's just talk about dollars or the pound. Watching the inflation rates go through the roof and watching as your purchasing power is decreasing by the day, you are effectively, whether you realize it or not, you are tied to this system. You are holding an asset that is decreasing in value because the governments around the world mint more money than you can make in your entire life daily, and that should scare everybody. The second you realize that this financial system is not designed to allow you to get financially free without being quite creative and smart, it makes it ticks some alarm bells in your head. It should do. And when you realize that, you think, crap, I need to figure this out. So even if you go from nothing to $1 million, right? Because you've worked incredibly smart, you made an amazing business model, and you don't invest in anything, you're still going to be affected because inflation is going to push that purchasing power down massively, and then you're going to probably get hit by a housing market crash that's likely to come, for example. Everything's tied together in the markets. But if you start looking into crypto or other tangible assets like gold, and you start to see how stores of value work and how they increase over time against the price of the dollar, which is inflated, then it starts to tick in your head and you think, actually, yeah, I can protect my wealth here. But you don't want to just protect your wealth, you want to make your money work for you. And that's where crypto comes in. Crypto is such a mind-boggling, it's hard to, I can't even go into it in the podcast unless we talk about it for the next 7 hours, It's so crazy. But crypto is literally the key to the kingdom of getting out of this financial nonsense, this matrix that we're stuck in, that ties us all down to this financial, jail cell we're all sort of tied to. And there are so many options with crypto, but for me, it's get in, to make the smart choices, hold, and watch as Bitcoin, for example, decouples from like NASDAQ and typical stocks, starts to lead the run for all of crypto, and then turns into the next powerhouse. And because if Bitcoin, it's very simple. If this is what it's meant to be, Bitcoin will be the next currency of the world. That's the kind of thing we're talking about here. So, you got to do a lot of research, you've got to look into it, but like I said before, over the last 4 years, the foundations in crypto have been laid. Many retailers already start taking its payments. You'll see some already do. Banks have been doing their own investments behind closed doors. Governments do have their own investments, believe it or not, despite what they might tell you. Everyone's well aware of it, and you need to get in and get a slice of the pie while you can, because if the next bull run does happen, as we think it will, and Bitcoin does take off, you're not going to see less than $100,000 to $250,000 Bitcoin. I just don't see it happening. It's life-changing, generational wealth creation, and now is one of the best times to get in because we're just seeing one of the reddest hits in the entire history of the planet, really, especially in crypto. So, DCA in, learn, protect your money, and then start building that generational wealth.
I really like what you just said about the key of the kingdom of financial freedom. Yeah. I really love this, and probably this is why I have also started to invest very heavily in crypto, because I believe in this thing, and I'm also and this is also one of the reasons why I have started this podcast, so more people can find out not only about seasonal tokens, but also that crypto investing is giving you a lot of opportunities. But of course, you have to have the ears to hear this.
Yeah. And they don't want you to. They don't want you to. They would much rather you live your life paycheck to paycheck with barely any savings, that you spend your entire life to earn one house that you think, when you're like 18, you're retired, you think, yeah, I've got my house, got my kids, awesome. Yeah, sure, that might be nice for some people, but like I said, the government still technically own you. Really, they own your property. If they decide that they don't want you to have that anymore, they can very easily get a judge to stamp some paper, and your house isn't even yours anymore. The government have too much control over people and their money, and Bitcoin and crypto represents the decoupling from that. Bitcoin is the people's money. The governments don't have control over it, and that is one of the things that ticked in my brain and made me think, hang on a minute, this is bigger than it seems. This is insane. So exactly right. Keys to the kingdom, man. Keys to the financial independence kingdom, right here.
Yeah, but at the same time, we don't want to scare anyone. Like, there is a very small chance the government to come and get your property or something.
Yeah.
Like
It's not gonna. You're not gonna be one day minding your own business and suddenly some random dude shows up with a piece of paper and says, "Well, actually, you know, I don't even want to scare people, but that could happen though, and you have seen it in history." That's what I'm saying. Like, the government aren't necessarily your friends, and I'm not going to scare anybody, but just be aware that your best interests are your best interests. The government's best interests are the government's best interests. Don't get the two mixed up. You know, to put it lightly, don't get the two mixed up. Protect yourself, protect your wealth, and there you go.
And stop watching news, I suppose. So yeah, this is one of the biggest problems that a lot of generations are having, that they trust very blindly the government and they believe that the government has their best interest. But the history has shown to us many times that this cannot be further from the truth. So, like, the only person that cares the most about you is you. So that there isn't anybody else outside of your family, I suppose, that cares about you. So I think that the concept of government is taking care of me and my family, and taking care of my back is not happening anymore. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, you know, if you rely on the government own you. If you rely on yourself, they don't own you, and that's what annoys them. They want to own you. So you've got to break free from that.
Yeah, I think that we can talk a lot about this topic, but we'll probably
be here for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And scare a lot more people than what we expect. So maybe we can finish with some final positive words from your side.
Final positive words. Yep. Markets are bearish, but that's an opportunity. Don't be scared by the sea of blood. Be looking for the island in the sea that's just cruising by. You know, look for the cruise ship that's still sailing. Learn about crypto. Learn about the blockchain. Learn about what it's done for the planet. Learn about what it can do for the planet. You know, start being smart with the investments in the DCAing, and just remain positive. You know, find something that you believe in. Invest for the long term. That isn't me saying throw your money in right now, because I do think we can still see lower levels. But now is a good time to start accumulating, in my opinion. And my money is completely where my mouth is. All of my money is in crypto, pretty much, you know. So, yeah, I think now is an amazing time. And also on the back of that, definitely look into seasonal tokens, because the reality of it is next level, mind-blowing ingenuity. Simple as that.
Okay, I think that this is enough for our listeners to know that crypto for us is the future. Mm-hmm. And we believe that it will not go away, but everyone should do their own research and
absolutely
decide if this is for them or not. They still have a lot of other opportunities, of course, but now probably is the best time to start searching for opportunities and get advantage of them, because maybe there will be not such time in the near future again. So, like, spend time on thinking, researching, and investing, because the great opportunities don't come many times in the lifetime. So,
yeah, for sure.
So thank you very much, Tears, for being here with me. Thank you very much
for the invitation.
Yeah.
Very appreciated.
Yeah. Thank you very much for sharing your wisdom with our listeners. I hope that they will research what we have said and made their own decision. I think that we have been able to reveal some of the myths regarding the cryptos, and also given some good ideas of people what to do during markets like that. So thank you very much again. It was really a pleasure for me. So I'm Power, the CMO of Seasonal Tokens. I hope that you have enjoyed the episode. If you do, please subscribe for our podcast, because a lot of great guests are coming in the near future. And yeah, I'll talk to you soon. Bye.